everyone. Welcome you all on our online lecture series on element of machine design subject. This is our second lecture on chapter number 4, that is design of power screw and fasteners. In previous lecture we have discussed introduction about power screw, and now we are going to discuss their types and profile. These power screw are also used in fastening purpose, and in which same profile are there. So this point is important from power screw point of view also and fastening design point of view also. Now we will start to the profile. There are different types of threads and their profile. First one is a Whitworth thread, that is BSW threads. Second one is a Acme thread, ACME, Acme threads. Third one is a buttress thread. Fourth one is square thread. Fifth type of thread profile is knuckle type of thread, and sixth last one, that is sixth number thread profile, is unified thread type. These are the six types of thread profile, and we are going to discuss in detail one by one. Here we have the first type of thread, that is square thread. You can see here the profile of square thread. This is the profile of thread section where the flank is in 90 degree. This is the flank with a red color, and this flank is in 90 degree to the axis of thread. This one is a axis of thread. This is this one portion or one sided portion of square thread profile, and below of it the same section is formed on a metal piece. This is called as a square thread. Now we will see its definitions and advantages. Square thread. The flank are 90 degree with the axis of screw, that is axis of thread. Force applied on both sides. Transmission power without any side thrust. Used in screw jack and clamping device. These threads are more efficient, so we use this thread for power transmission. This thread is adapted for transmission of power in either direction. Here we have right in both direction, and it is difficult with tap and dies only. It is usually cut on lathe machine by using single point tool. Now we will discuss the advantages of square thread. You have to write in your notebook also, because this question is asked in MSBT examination every time. First advantage is it has maximum efficiency. Second one is a minimum radial or the bearing pressure on nut. Square threads are of self-locking type as it is 90 degree angle. Ability to carry heavy load, high velocity ratio and accuracy of motion. As after disadvantages, there are some disadvantages are there for square threads, such as these thread are difficult to manufacture as it machined by single point cutting tool. As we know, this type of thread are only manufactured by using single cutting point tool, which is expensive one. This operation is expensive with compared to the multi-point cutting tool. And the second disadvantage is the strength of screw is depend upon thread thickness. This is thread thickness at its core diameter. The thickness of this thread is less than trapezoidal thread, which decreases the load carrying capacity. And the last disadvantages, or we can call it as a limitation of screw thread, is this thread cannot be used conveniently with split nut because of wear compensation is not possible and is difficult to engagement and disengagement, as the thickness of profile is too much and it is in 90 degree. So the engagement and disengagement is quite difficult when we assemble it. And the application of screw thread are in screw jack, mechanical press and clamping devices. And on its geometry we have some points such as P, that is the pitch of thread, and in between two profile the distance is P by 2 and height of thread is P by 2, that is H. Now the next type of thread is trapezoidal thread, where the flank angle is 30 degree with each other and the force applied on both sides when it is rotated in clockwise and anti-clockwise direction. Use this type of thread are used in machine tool, lead screw and power transmission devices. Here you can see that the diagram of trapezoidal threads. Point of distinguish between thread profile is in trapezoid thread the flank angle is 30 degree. As we discussed in square thread, that angle is 90 degree, but here the flank angle is 30 degree, and based on that we called it as a trapezoidal threads. And the important point of trapezoidal thread, that is on a manufacturing point of view, it is manufactured on thread milling machine by using multi-point cutting tool. And the next point, that is next thread, is a Acme thread. As we know, the trapezoidal threads are having the angle of 30 degree, and when that angle is below of 32 degree, that is 29 degree, that time this type of thread are called as a Acme thread. The only difference with the angle of thread, that is in between two flanks. Here we have the diagram of Acme thread. The flank are 29 degree with each other and the force applied on both sides, that is when we rotate it in clockwise direction it move in forward way, and when we move in anti-clockwise direction it is move in backward direction. Acme thread are used in machine tool, lead screw and power transmission devices. Here you can see that the distance P, it is known as pitch of thread, and top land distance is 0.3707 times of P, that is pitch. And the manufacturing point of view, the Acme threads are manufactured by dies, hence easy to manufacture and having efficiency less than square thread. As we discuss one disadvantage in square thread, that is the thread cannot be used continuity with a split nut by considering wear compensation. And in Acme thread, that is its advantages, that the Acme thread permit the use of split nut which can be easy to engagement and disengagement and compensate wear also. Second point, that is advantage of acme thread, is acme threads are stronger than the square thread in shear because the larger cross section area at the root point. Here you can see that this is square thread profile, and at its side we will draw acme thread with angle 29 degree, and this section is called as a root section and this section is called as crease section. Here you can see that the area at a root section is a maximum one, so the shear stress capacity is larger than square threads. And these acme threads are having some limitation. First limitation is the efficiency of acme thread is lower than that of the square thread because it is having slope at the side. And the second limitation is the slope on sides introduce some brushing pressure on nut also. And the application of acme thread used in lead screw of machine tool that we have written here. The next type of thread is buttress thread, and the buttress thread are shown in this figure. This is the profile of buttress thread. The flank are inclined at 45 degree and it can take the thrust in only one direction. As you can see that the flank, one flank is in a 90 degree and other one is inclined at 45 degree. And the disadvantages that we have discussed in acme thread and square thread that are eliminated in buttress thread. Now we will see the next point, that is the advantages of buttress thread, and based on that you can understand what are the disadvantages that we have discussed in acme and square thread that are get eliminated in this type of screw thread, that is in buttress thread. The first one is efficiency of thread is high. Second one is the easy of cutting, that is from manufacturing point of view, stronger than any other type of thread because it is having the larger section or larger area at its root point. This thread is also having limitation such as these are used where the force or the power is required to be transmit only in one direction. We cannot transmit in both direction, as we discussed in previous one. When we rotate it in clockwise direction or it is in anti-clockwise direction, that all the threads are transmit the power in both direction, but in buttress thread we can able to transmit the power in only one direction because the line or the flank is 90 degree, so cannot able to transmit power in that direction. After that, fifth and sixth number thread profile are knuckle thread and unified threads. These threads are used for fastening purpose, so we will discuss this thread in the topic of fastening. Also, V thread are there for fastening which is used for fastening purpose, so we will discuss in detail in lecture of fastening. Up to here you have to draw diagram of remaining 4 types of thread profile and write their advantages, disadvantages and applications. Thank you.